How's it going, everybody? Crispy Flakes here. Time for another crispy take. Today's take, we are going to be talking about Andre Drummond, because recently there was some footage of him launching up some three-pointers and the shots going in. And really, as somebody that's watched this man play for like 7 or 8 years on the Pistons, I have quite a bit to say about him, man. And if I think that him as a player, if he's a good investment, or if he's somebody you just don't really want to take a risk on. So before we get going on this, I ask you guys a quick favor. If you don't mind dropping a like on this video, especially if you are enjoying these crispy takes, if you're enjoying these NBA talk videos, by you dropping that like allows me to know that you're enjoying the new series, and it's something I should continue doing forward. So thank you all so much for that. Okay, so Andre Drummond, shooting three-pointers, man. I will say, in the footage that I saw, the form is still ugly. The form is still extremely ugly. It's low, it's slow, and you can tell, you know, it's the same case almost like back in the day with like Rajon Rondo. I remember Rondo on the Celtics would always try to shoot threes and stuff. He wasn't very good at it. It's just because he had big hands. He had big hands, but obviously Rondo's gotten better at it over the years. Also, you know, being not 7 foot probably helps too. But Drummond just has like that bulkiness to him, that muscular frame, which obviously helps him in the paint and grab rebounds and stuff. But it kind of hinders his three-point shot, right, man? At least the form. So last NBA season, Drummond played about 8 games with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And at that point, when he got to the team, it was like, okay, the Cavaliers are not making the playoffs, so let's see what we got out there, especially when it comes to Andre Drummond. In those 8 games, he was actually taking about 2 attempts per game and shooting like 28-29%. It's actually a little promising. It's a little bit promising. But I don't know if Drummond, as a player, will ever get to that point where he can be like a reliable three-point shooter. So obviously, when it comes to centers transitioning their entire game, we look at Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is the prime example of really being able to do something that is nearly impossible to do. Imagine this, guys. Imagine growing up, you were good at like painting with paint, right? You were just you were a killer in the art room. You were getting A++, 1s, 2s, and 3s on your report cards. Well, all 1s. 1s are the good ones, right, guys? And you were like the best. And then you went to college. And you went there on a full ride scholarship. You know, and you get there and they're like, hey, we're no longer using paint. We're using colored pencils, man. Colored pencils are the big wave out there, right? So you have to switch to colored pencils. It's still art, but it's art in a different way. And if you don't transition to the colored pencils, you're going to lose that art scholarship, right, man? The max contract, which Andre Drummond currently wants to go for, right? But that's the beautiful thing about what Brook Lopez did. He went from playing strictly in the post, a guy that might shoot a mid-range shot every once in a while, to going to the Milwaukee Bucks and becoming known as Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain, man. 7 foot, 3-point shooting Brook Lopez now. Made a living in the post on the New Jersey/Brooklyn Nets. Was the all-time leading scorer for the franchise. That is impressive as hell, and something that I think any sort of center, really any position when it comes to basketball, needs to kind of look up to. So Drummond, last season, in the 8 games for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was actually he actually had pretty similar stats, you know, on the Cavaliers as he did on the Pistons. He averaged about 18 points, 11 rebounds per game, 1 2 steals, 1 block per game. In a fewer amount of minutes. He was playing about 28 minutes per game. He played about 34 minutes per game on the Detroit Pistons. So yeah. And he tried shooting some threes. And there was times on the Pistons where he would shoot threes and it looked ugly as hell. And you were just kind of like, please don't ever do that again. But here's the interesting thing about Andre Drummond. Is that, okay, a lot of people don't like him as a player. Like, they just think he's trash, and they don't want him anywhere near the franchise, which I kind of see that, you know, because look at my team for the past 8 years with Drummond as, like, essentially the number 1, number 2 best player on the team. We didn't really do anything, right? We didn't really do anything. But when it comes to Andre Drummond, he can put up the numbers, but he is literally one of the least skilled centers I've ever seen. Least skilled centers I've ever seen, man. He can clean up in the paint, Reggie Evans style. He can dunk the basketball. He can make a hustle play. Every now and then, he'll actually, like, be on, like, top of the key, and he can, like, take it to the basket, like take, like, the big man off the dribble, which I actually wish he did more of that. I actually think he has pretty good potential to have some decent handles. I ain't talking Jokic handles, but, I'm just talking about he could do some things with the basketball on the court, right? But then, anytime he goes up against like a Joel Embiid or a Rudy Gobert, any sort of center that knows how to play, a lick of defense, he struggles due to the lack of skill. I still have nightmares to this day about his hook shot. For so many years, he would always try this hook shot. It wouldn't go in. He would shrug his shoulders, get pissy about it, call for the ball in the next play again, same song and dance, and then the coach would take him up and be like, all right, Drummond, you got to stop this, man. You got to stop this, right? So that lack of, touch around the basket, I mean, being a three-point shooter is all about touch. It's all about having that shooter's hand and be able to knock it out from anywhere on the court. No three-point shot is the same, Typically, a shot around the basket, it's a shot around the basket, right? But a three-point shot, I mean, I feel like myself personally shooting three-pointers anywhere on the court, each one has a different touch and feel to it, right? I think you guys would probably agree with that unless you don't play basketball or unless you're not a three-point shooter. So what do the Cavaliers do with this man? Okay, you see him nailing these threes in these scrimmage games. And don't get me started on that though, man, okay? Because the same issue with Drummond making threes in the pickup games, I've seen this before here, man. That's why I'm like, Cavalier fans, like, I hope you guys don't get your hopes up too much about it. It's the reason I don't like Stanley Johnson, besides him blocking me on Twitter. But Stanley Johnson, would always play in like the Drew League and all these scrimmage games. You would see it, some sort of headline like Stanley Johnson dropped 60 points in the Drew League. Andre Drummond grabs 40 points and 97 rebounds. And then the regular season comes around, and yeah, we all know when it comes to Stanley Johnson. Drummond, I'll still say, at least put up numbers, right? Like he's always been pretty good at putting up the numbers. So this offseason, he has a player option. Right now, he's in complete disagreement with the Cavaliers as far as an extension goes, which definitely, I can definitely see that why. I think this player option, he's due like $28 million or something like that. But you look at the type of center he is not getting that type of contract ever again unless something drastically changes in his game. But even with that, let's look at Brook Lopez, for example. We talked about him earlier. Like Brook Lopez, let me look him up real quick here, guys. Let me see what his contract is. I'm going to type it in. Y'all hear that, man? Y'all got that ASMR, crispy flakes. Okay, Brook Lopez is about 31. 12 points, 5 rebounds per game. This season, 31% from 3. Not all that good, actually. That's actually really bad. But the previous season, 37% from 3. Really got, was really good on Milwaukee, the Lakers, and stuff last season with Brooklyn. He was knocked on a 3-point shot. So his current contract is sitting at about $12 million a season. That's from a 7-footer that blocks shots and typically knocks down 3-pointers. So Drummond, his defense ain't bad. He's kind of like he's more like Hassan Whiteside when it comes to defense as opposed to like Rudy Gobert. Where like Rudy Gobert, you can just tell is a great defender, but Hassan Whiteside, he's like not the greatest defender, but he blocks shots. True basketball fans know what I'm talking about when it comes to that, right, man? I would say Drummond kind of definitely leads toward that. Although he's pretty good in the passing lanes. So I don't really see any circumstances where like Drummond gets more than $15 million a season, and a lot of that would probably come strictly due to like age and stuff. I don't see him ever getting like that money he's getting right now, right? I mean, he's much more like Clint Capella than he is, I guess, just throw a name out there like Miles Turner, 3-point shooting, stretching center and stuff like that. Or I guess even a better example, he's definitely more like that, or like as opposed to maybe like a Jokic or a Joel Embiid or somebody like that. So if I am the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think what their best option is. Okay, I guess you can go one of two ways. There is obviously the route of Drummond signs his player option, and then you do some sort of trade. I've seen talks of like the Boston Celtics. Now, I've seen more Celtic fans say they don't want Drummond as opposed to wanting him, which I totally get that. Just these back to the basket type of players, these guys that you really have to dish the ball into under the basket. They're ball stoppers. And what makes, Brad Stevens' offense so beautiful is that everybody can pass, everybody makes plays for others. The ball is always in motion, right? The ball is always in motion. So I think Drummond kind of hurts that. With that being said, the Celtics have like 3 first-round draft picks that are like later picks, and they just don't really need that anymore. They already have guys like Carson Edwards and Romeo Langford not getting enough playing time. just because, like, they got other guys out there, right? So it's like they don't need even more young talent on the team. They have plenty of young talent. So I guess that would be an option. Now, what I would probably do, which I think could kind of be an interesting method, is if I was the Celtics, trade for Andre Drummond, but maybe use him in a bench role. And I know I know he would absolutely hate that. But hey, I mean, you're trying to win a championship, right? If you're trying to win a championship, I would start Daniel Tice. I feel like he works better with the starting five, but then use Drummond. And like when the other guys are on the bench or whatever, that's a good opportunity to feed the beast, right? But what's that worth? That's not worth no $28 million or whatever Drummond wants, right? So I think the Cavaliers, if they don't find a good trade, which I don't think they will, the Pistons got Brandon Knight in a 17th round draft pick for him. I think it would be kind of cool just to go into next season. They got a top pick. I forgot what the pick was exactly. And let Drummond shoot threes. And give Drummond that one season to make or break the rest of his career. Because if he goes into the season highly motivated to change his game, he knows he's not getting the money he wants with the current way he plays. So if it's going to give him that drive to work on his three-point shot and everything like that. And hopefully from there, after this season, you can see what he becomes, right? Maybe he gets up to like 32% from three on like 3 attempts per game. Because really, that's the only thing he's lacking, is just that good, fluid way to score the basketball. That is essentially what he is lacking as a player. He's got everything up, man. He's the top rebounder in the NBA. So the defense, I mean, the shot blocking is kind of a bad indicator for how good a player really is at defense. But stealing the basketball, he's always going to the passing lanes. There was a point in time before the Pistons got Blake Griffin where he was actually really solid passing, on the top of the game, stuff like that. He kind of got away from that as they ran the offense more through like Blake Griffin. He's a very talented passer. The free throws have gotten a lot better, man. Going back to the 2018 season, he was shooting like 61%. Before that, he was around like in the 30s, like mid 30s. So I do see potential with Drummond. I think the Cavaliers, I'm not trying to like hate on Cleveland or nothing like that, but they're not really a high priority free agent destination. You're not really going to see a lot of free agents sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, the only exception was LeBron James. And even then, man, if you really do think about it, what big name free agents signed with Cleveland? I mean, there was like Dwayne Wade, but he was old. Kyrie Irving was drafted. Kevin Love was traded for. That was the whole reason that LeBron James left the Cavaliers in the first place, because like they couldn't get players over there, man. A big part of it was not trained for the right guys, but also just free agents when they come over there for whatever reason. I don't know if they didn't want to play with LeBron or something, but that is what it is, man. So I feel like with Andre Drummond, he is 26. He's going to be in his absolute prime. 27 is usually peak for NBA players. That's usually when you're at your very best. Is it too late for him to change his style? It possibly could be. I don't know if he really has the skill set to do so. But what I do know, 2 attempts, 29% from 3, going to a new team. It's possible, I suppose. How much is that worth? In my mind, Drummond is worth, like I said, $13 to $15 million a season. He's probably going to sign his player option, so we'll see what happens there. But I don't know, man. He's a very interesting player. He puts up stats. NBA fans don't like him, and his stats don't really lead to wins. So at that point, if you can't morph into something better, it's probably a GG. This is once again, guys, Crispy Flakes with another Crispy Takes. Hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and peace out, my friends.